I got it. Here we go.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Thank you very much for being here. My name is Omar, coming at you guys from West Coast, British Columbia, Canada, on this very, very hot day, 37 degrees outside. Quick weather report for you guys. Stay hydrated and be in love with one another, because that's how we defeat the heat, I think. And let's try it anyways. It's a good hypothesis. Thank you very much for being here. I am here today joined by my co-host and co-creator and one of my besties, Kathy Mason, from the Conscious Business Zone, with an amazing series coming up for you guys this week. All the way up until Saturday, we are going to be featuring NDE experiencers, and we'll be capping it off with a panel discussion, which is one of my favorite ways of communicating, because it brings out a lot of information, and I love how the dialogue happens between everyone. So welcome, Kathy. Thank you very much for being here and co-creating this.
Yep, I love working with you, and I love the opportunity to share the knowledge from these amazing beings of light that have had near-death experiences. And today's the start of a 7-day adventure into near-death experiences, dialogues of eternal consciousness. And who doesn't want to know about that? I mean, that's what's happening right now. Is everything is being revealed so that we can pick and learn and go inside to know what the truth is. And these people that are going to be speaking, they're fearless. They saw the other side. So they know that this whole construct can't really hurt them. So, and the love that you'll feel from these beings, they're just so beautiful. So I'm so excited to share and be part of this adventure with you, Omar. Thank you.
Awesome, Kathy. Now, this is all part of the International Association for Near-Death Studies, which is happening August 31st to September the 4th in Salt Lake City. So why don't you give us a quick download on that, and then I'll bring up some banners of our speakers coming up this week, and maybe we can just roll through that really quickly too.
Great. Well, the event that we're talking about is the annual conference, in-person conference that we have not been able to have for a couple years, but I've been involved in this is my 5th year of being involved with their conferences. And what they've done is they've created a way that you can be on virtually as well as in person. And I think everyone that we're going to be interviewing this week is a speaker at this event, and here's Tricia is going to be coming up in just a few minutes, and each one of them are a lot of them have published books. They just have held a space of knowing and sharing to so many people. So they're sharing their gifts. What happens when you go to an event like this is almost everyone that's there has had a near-death experience. So you're walking into a space of maybe up to 500 people that all have their heart wide open. And for me, I was not I haven't had a near-death experience, but I've had spiritually transformative experience. For me, it felt like home. So this is a way to fortify and solidify more of who you are, but it's also to give you language, because so much of this experience is ineffable. It's an experience. It's not a cognitive expression. And that's why you're going to love talking to Tricia Barker, because Tricia is so articulate. And she wrote a book called Angels in the OR, and she's an English professor at university. So she has the poetic expression that'll help people get more in touch to the experience. So, but each one of these people, I can't say enough about them. And I wish we could have gone for longer because I have more of them that I would. That's how excited I am about it. It's really a wonderful experience. The online version, if people do want to experience all of it, the online version after you purchase your ticket, a lot of people can't watch all day, so I think the recordings are available for 90 days afterwards.
Nice.
So if you do sign up, it is, and all of it goes to the nonprofit. The other thing about Ions to Know is it's 40 years old.
Wow.
So this is Dr. Norman Shealy was the first to help start this. He was one of the first people. So let's just go and invite Tricia in so I don't yak too long.
Okay, cool. So I'll do a quick bio introduction, and then we'll bring Tricia on. So Tricia Barker experienced a profound near-death experience during her senior year of college. Her near-death experience story has been featured on I Survived, Beyond and Back, National Geographic Magazine, Women's World Magazine, Coast to Coast AM, and The Dr. Oz Show. Tricia memoirs, Angels in the OR, What Dying Taught Me About Healing, Survival, and Transformation is available as an ebook, paperback, and an Audible. Tricia is a graduate of the University of Texas and Goddard College. Currently, she works as an English professor, YouTuber, motivational speaker, medium, theta healer, and an angel communicator. Beautiful. Let's bring Tricia Barker on. And welcome, Tricia. Thank you very much for being here and sharing your experiences and wisdom with us all.
Thank you. You know, Omar, I don't know you, but I've listened to some of your videos and I love your presence and your message. And Kathy is just a wonderful host. So to have the both of you together is really a pleasure. So nice to meet you.
And thank you very much. I appreciate that, Tricia.
So Tricia, so many wonderful things are happening right now in this time of change. And would you first let the audience know if they're new to your work, a little bit about I guess give them a preview of Angels in the OR experience so that then they could have a way to ask other questions of you as well. Okay?
Yeah, so back in 1994, I had a head-on collision and I was on my way to run the Austin 10K. And I was agnostic at the time. I really was science-minded, even though I was an English major. Very materialistic in many ways. I was dumbfounded by religion and, just the hypocriticalness of it. And so I didn't have any real desire to study spirituality, but I would say that I was a little bit open. I mean, people have said, that I had a few mystical experiences that I just kind of wrote off as creativity or imagination for the most part. But the near-death experience was so much more than any mushroom trip or acid trip or anything like that. I mean, I understand, that hallucinogens are getting a lot of press these days, but the near-death experience was a complete disconnect from this body. And, you just look at the body like, who needs that? And we go on. And that was my first thought in the ER. And I saw angels working through the surgeons. And I've carried that image with me into the future. There's so much to the near-death experience. I keep coming back to it because it was a paradigm shift. Some people fear death and, they think about it on that level. But once you've had a near-death experience, you know that your consciousness survives this body and is really more than this body. Like the brain is a limiter of consciousness in many ways that, meditation can certainly open us up to these energetic realms. The spiritual path can open us up to more spiritual experience, but a near-death experience alters people dramatically, and mine was a dramatic alteration.
How far out! I really really like that. And how did your I'd like to understand the your OR experience. Like I watched a lot of videos and I've spoken to a lot of people on this subject, and recently, I guess the universe has been tossing NDE videos at me through unsolved mysteries, right? Remember back in the day with Robert Stack and Dennis Ferrer, right? And they used to talk about like all this really cool stuff on mainstream TV, and a lot of the experiences that I've actually seen on there and I've heard of, they people say that when they lift out of their body, right, they're still interacting with the environment that was physical to them, and then afterwards they go someplace. Right now, what I'm trying to understand is that could that be like an interdimensional conscious experience rather than like a near death experience? Because as far as I understand, right, where this avatar, this antenna is connected to consciousness and we experience consciousness through that, right? So if death doesn't exist, if we are before this and we are after this, so could it be that we're actually having like a interdimensional conscious experience, and then that way you're connected to the entire source, and then you're getting all those downloads, like you're like suddenly aware of everything around you? You know what I'm saying, Tricia?
I do, but let me see if I can put it in simpler terms and make sure that I do understand what you're saying. So I immediately felt more intelligent outside of my body. I felt as if the angels were giving me vibrations that helped me understand this realm. I felt like just my consciousness, the minute it was outside of form, was more connected to what the surgeons were doing, what others were doing, and to this greater consciousness beyond me. So I felt in that space, and a lot of near-death experiencers talk about this, like they had all the answers over there. Like they understood over there, but over here, you come back to the limitations. It's a real horrible experience, actually, to be shoved back in this body, because that experience was I felt like I was learning exponentially, millisecond by millisecond. And had I stayed there longer, maybe I would have soaked up more, but I felt like I couldn't process it all. There was just no fear. And because there was no fear, there was a greater understanding immediately. So I'm sure my consciousness was connected to a greater consciousness because that fear just didn't exist. And I think the normal part of me would have felt some fear looking at this bloody body on the operating table that was obviously bleeding out and was not going to make it without some help.
So, our part of our discussion today is healing from the other side. So, I know you're now doing theta healing and other types of healing. Do you want to talk a little bit about, because you just mentioned how the angels were working through the surgeons, but I think you could expand. I think your whole life has turned into healing after this experience. Would you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the healing journey was a long one. When I saw the angels working on my spine, I had broken my back in 3 places, and these spinal fragments, these bone fragments, were just scattered throughout my spine. And I had lost feeling in a leg. So I know the neurosurgeons were doing their job, but the angels were assisting energetically. And I understood that their help was needed. And that image stayed with me through my long recovery. I had close to 9 months of learning to walk again, of basically just being back in this body and in a lot of pain, but I didn't take any painkillers. I just meditated, worked with those angels, worked with the natural limits of my body at that time in order to fully heal. And I was lucky, I was young at that time, so there was a good healing prognosis. But healing in general has been a focus, because when you have a major accident at 21, there's this chance that later in life you're going to have chronic pain, and I did and do at times. And so how do you deal with chronic pain in this body? How do you deal with illness? How do you deal mostly with the programs that we have from culture, that we have from our ancestors, that we perhaps hold in our body, and maybe even soul memories from past lives that sometimes hold us back. So, there's a multitude of healing modalities, and I think more are coming to the planet. And the coming years, especially the next 4 years. I've been saying 5, so I'm going to move it down to 4. But I feel like there is this change that's happening, and for me, theta healing made a lot of sense because our bodies do hold memories from our
Mhm.
ancestors who've survived a lot, and if you want to change programs, then that just makes sense. And if you want to change these programs at this cultural conditioning level, I recently saw a documentary about Native Americans who were taken, the children were taken from their homes and they're reindoctrinated into
Mhm.
American education. And years later, they're trying to deprogram themselves from that education and remember who they are. And I think we're all having to deprogram ourselves from everything we hear from the media, from just sayings, wise sayings that may not apply, that we don't want to run our lives that way. So there's a lot of deprogramming that we have to do, and believe that we can be assisted, I think, by that realm. That we can really work with that realm to make shifts in reality, because a lot of near death experiencers miss that other realm, and there's almost this longing for that other side. And I have certainly been there, because all of the pain is left here, and there is just this joy and light and learning, and it's an amazing realm. And I understand the depression, I understand being back here and feeling some of that, but with the time that we have here, we are meant to live joyously. We are meant to co create. We are meant to live well. And I don't want near death experiences to just be something that erases the fear of dying. I want them to help people, every experiencer and others, live with more wisdom from that realm. And the wisdom is really simple. The wisdom isn't complicated. A lot of spirituality complicates things. And the messages are generally simple from near death experiences. Love is all that matters and all that we take with us. That's the highest vibration. So when you think of loving one another, whether this is just sharing a meal with people and not arguing, about politics or arguing about, belief systems, but really just being there for people in their suffering and in
Mhm.
their living, that's a form of love. And the near death experience, though, also said to remind them to go to nature. And I think a lot of healing is done through nature. And I don't mean to discredit, hallucinogens and, all of Michael Pollan's work. I'm just saying that the near death experience was way more profound than anything I had experienced from those substances. But I do think those substances teach us about nature and the great spirits that are in trees or in animals or in the foods that we eat, that everything has life and everything has meaning. And there's always the possibility of healing. There's always the possibility of shifting from addiction into balance. There's always the possibility of letting go of emotional wounds that hold us back. There's always the possibility of manifesting within a range, and I say that, I think there's more and more that we can do. There's more and more that we can heal. But and this is where I get into, complicated theories. I think it is within a range of what we can do. But healing is important to me because I suffered a lot of trauma and child abuse before my near death experience, and I suffered trauma after my experience. And people sometimes have attacked that or said, well, you weren't using your intuition to protect you from this. 1 in 7 women are raped. Younger people are at a higher risk for sexual assault. So it's not that I was a near death experiencer who was given all these answers. It was that I was a human being who happened to be young, traveling widely and living in different areas. And, I think it was meant to bring compassion to everyone who is a victim of anything traumatic on this earth. That how do you heal from that? That became part of my life mission. And I'll tell you, that was a lot easier. Actually, it was horrifying, to heal from, but it was easier than the car wreck, believe it or not. I still have PTSD and I still work on that, that moment where the impact happened. So I honestly don't like talking about the accident too much. And that's one way that I've shifted, is I don't want to keep reliving the trauma of cars, because so many people are harmed in cars and don't have near-death experiences. In some ways, yes, it's interesting the way that we transition over, but this life is kind of traumatic. How do we heal from it? And you look at, and I may be babbling at this time, please cut me off, someone, but you look at homeless people, say in this area where I live, and I think, oh my God, there's so much unhealed trauma. How come we can't? I would guess that every homeless person has probably been abused as a kid or suffered something, unimaginable that has caused them to be in this state of not putting all the pieces together. And how do we heal these broken pieces in society, in people, and really give them the tools to begin healing? And I think the near-death experiences that I've listened to, I've interviewed other experiencers, and from my own, it starts with basic compassion for others, knowing that we're all traumatized on some level because we're in these bodies, number one. And number two, it's like, how can we reconnect to that light and that compassion and that unconditional love, no matter what is going on? So no matter what you're in the middle of, how can you connect to that light and go, I need assistance here. I am going to find that assistance, and it will happen, and have faith that the other side will meet you exactly where you are and begin that process. And I can't hear you for some reason.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
The
reason why I brought up theta healing is I feel like so many of the people that have had near-death experiences that I've met through IONS and through even when you've done your events like this, that they kind of, when they came back, they had superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
And they had access to a bigger part of themselves. And so do you find that's the same with you?
Yeah, mine was particular to a particular mission. And I'm sorry if I'm looking down. It's been quite a day. I might have to switch computers in the middle of this because I don't have a cord, but we'll just get to that when I get there. The main thing that when I think about that moment, I didn't have a guide. I didn't have like a spiritual group after that. So I'm so grateful for IONS. When I eventually hooked up with IONS, it was such a relief to have supported people who understood what was going on. But I knew I was different. I mean, I was communicating with ghosts, never did that before. I was having lots of psychic flashes that would just manifest. They were almost too much. And on my own, after traveling internationally and experiencing some trauma, I dove really deep into, I had this traveling job where I was teaching an SAT course at different boarding schools. My mission from the other side was to teach and to be kind to my students and remind them of their spiritual power and their purpose as a teacher. And I couldn't do anything else. Like that was, the mission from the heavens, but I got creative with it, and taught in a variety of ways. But what I realized is that some of the powers were too much for me. I would see different spirits when I was hiking. They would come to me, tell me different things. I saw a group of Native American speakers in Virginia, and they simply said, they were just these amazing, beautiful spirits. And they said, please don't forget us. And so I've incorporated in every American Lit class I teach, I just begin with Native American history and literature, and always incorporate Black Elk Speaks. And I couldn't think of, other ways other than small documentaries, and just, keeping that a part of the culture because of that experience. But some experiences were a lot. And I would ask Spirit, I would say, okay, please just distill this in a way that will help me help students. So, students, grandparents sometimes came to me with messages. Their guides would come to me, and I would make sure to use it not not in a direct way with students, but in an indirect way, encourage them in different ways and kind of use those messages. So I didn't come out on this public platform. And I think there's a lot of people like that, who work as social workers and are deeply intuitive, or ministers or teachers, or, various ways where they're working with the public. You don't have to be a healer. I think my interest just went in that direction, and much to the detriment of my life in some ways. I mean, I lost family members, I lost a husband, I lost a lot of people when I finally came out publicly as a medium and as someone who was willing to share these gifts with more than just my students and my teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So, there are ways that you can work with spirit to open them up at slower rates. There's certainly ways to work with mediumship in safer ways and create your energetic boundaries. But in the beginning, I was just kind of blown wide open. And I just thought, I put it very simply, like, well, I crossed the veil. And because I crossed that veil, now I can hear from people over there to some degree. It isn't perfect communication, but it is a communication made of images, feelings, sensations, sounds. Each person who interacts with that realm sees it differently. In the beginning, I would see spirits, and that became a little overwhelming because, I couldn't walk into a psychologist's office and say, I see people.
Reminds me of that movie, I See Dead People.
Or the Sixth Sense, right?
Yeah.
Which is this the dream or is that the dream? It's all a dream.
Yeah.
I'd like to understand the gift part that Kathy was just asking you about. When she was saying that, I thought about like a brain injury, right? Because how can I put this? Do you think that because of a traumatic experience, the brain goes through like some sort of a transformation to where it has, like a full connection into consciousness? Imagine it to be like a Wi-Fi connection and the bars are at full, and and then that's why those gifts and things like that come through a person so easily, like you're saying that you can see spirits and ghosts and such, right? I'm wondering if that Wi-Fi connection, right, is so strong that you're able to see it, like kind of like Dr. Dolittle, he can speak to animals, and I'm just wondering if it's like kind of the same thing.
I've puzzled over why, this happened myself. And in the beginning, I was pretty innocent about even how I died. I didn't know how I was revived, only knew at one point that I was dead for a couple of minutes. It wasn't until the Bio Channel interviewed me that they got the hospital records and they found out that I bled to get death, and the surgeons were cauterizing the veins. Sure, being dead for 2.5 minutes causes some brain damage. And certainly people who've been in accidents who haven't had near-death experiences have had an out-of-body experience, or just, like popped out. And that has given them a different form of consciousness. I think that I had a full awakening, to be honest. I think all my circuits were just blown open. Like I was one thing that happens to a lot of near-death experiencers is they can't wear watches. And that first year after my accident, I would short out every single watch.
Why is that?
I owned. And also technology. When I was writing my book, there was a lot of emotions coming up. I burned up 4 laptops, and even right now, I might have to switch laptops in the middle of this. Like, there is a technological problem, high energy or stress or anything intense, like my energy affects it. I've caught some of it on video, and I should post those from time to time. But there was one moment I didn't catch on video where I was joking with my students, and I said, wow, I'm high energy today. Something could happen with the computer. And we had this computer overhead, and everything just like went down to this little like multicolored dot, and it just started circling around and the lights were flickering, and my students were like, are you a witch? Like, this is weird. And so there's definitely anything I touch, and other near-death experiencers have talked about this, like sometimes you have to go ground, get your energy right before you're around technology. If you're busy and running around, just have really full open chakras, for lack of a better term. And some Reiki workers who worked on me early on said that a lot of near-death experiencers don't know where their boundaries are because they've experienced that oneness. So, their boundary, their aura might set out at about 8 feet, so they're really picking up a lot of what's going on with someone they meet.
8 feet. Wow, that's a huge vortex. Wow.
So I try to bring it in and have better boundaries. Like there's nothing wrong with being invisible sometimes. And it was really overwhelming, not knowing what all of this was. The first time I walked onto a city bus or any mass transit, I just felt like I was getting all these downloads and information about people on the system. And that works better when you're in control of a classroom, say. And these are people who, you have administration and police officers and different people in place to help you if there's a mental health issue. But it doesn't always work so well in the world without learning boundaries and without learning, a certain amount of protection from that. So, who knows? I think the experience causes a Kundalini awakening, perhaps.
That's very cool. I like that. Very, very good answer. There's one thing that's going through my head, and I wonder if you're able to describe what the other side looks like, right? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people thinking that, right? Like we have this visual in our head that it's just a bright light and it's beautiful, full of love. But I'd like to hear from you, like what it looks like.
And it's different for every spirit. Since I'm a medium and I talk to spirits over there, I'm always curious what they do over there for a longer period of time. And what I experienced was growth, exponential growth, and exponential oneness. So immediately after I left that hospital realm, I was floating in the stars, and some of those images that are coming back from the Hubble telescopes and from the James Webb telescope, these images look familiar. So there was this sense of floating far away from this place, but also being energetically supported by information and light. And light seemed to be the communicator. So to me, I just felt so free and so happy to fly, to just fly free. There was no fear. I was floating in the stars. There was this sense of a greater intelligence that was showing me parts of my life. We do often recreate, and I see many souls do this, something that gives them great peace, something that looks like nature untouched. Nature that is pure life that never dies. So, no blade of grass even has any bit of death in it. It's just this beautiful natural realm. And I transitioned to that after doing this life review, which is quite common for near-death experiencers. I was shown not to be judgmental, and that's something that we all work on for our whole lives.
That's a tough one, I think.
I've grown and I've matured obviously since 21, but I still have my triggers, or I just listen to how I'm talking about people on TV, and I'm just like, it's so, if you know anything about nonviolent communication, there's like jackal language, which is it puts other people down. And then there's giraffe language, he calls it, which is very open-hearted and has empathy for others and the self. And it's just a lot of work, honestly, to constantly find the compassion while we're in our individual stories, while we're in individual situations. And that whole trajectory is an interesting one. But in that realm, that quote heavenly realm, I just knew that all souls generally chose to look younger, somewhere from 15 to 35, that they kind of liked themselves at that age. Or, the genetic errors or programs started causing aging and problems in the body, that a lot of souls choose that. A lot of souls create out of the love that they experienced in this life. If they loved certain pets, they want to see those pets. If they love certain people, they want to see those people. But some souls are very much into the mystery. They want to know everything that's ever happened in history. They want to understand why they are here, what they might do in the future. Some want to work as guides for their family and be there, but some want to do other things over there, help suicide victims if they were a suicide victim, if they, killed themselves. Maybe they are there to help others transition. There's just all kinds of ways that souls find, I wouldn't necessarily call it karma, but just a way to right what they have done wrong, like send energy to certain situations, be supportive in ways that they weren't here. So there's a lot of variety. But I have seen, and this does correct me up, some people who are very religious, and it doesn't matter what religion, kind of shut that book and just kind of look around in amazement. And go, these books didn't really describe what this is. Like, this is reality. This is like a deep, visceral experience. It's not imaginary. That when you're there, it's intense, more intense than this. So it's like the next level. Perhaps there's so much more to learn in that space that it's the learning is never ending.
Sounds like they have a like a whole community that's happening up there that's separate to this community down here. And it kind of really falls into my thinking of like prime reality and a copy of a prime reality. And I wonder, when this NDE experience happens, that you're leaving the copy of prime reality and actually going into the prime reality and interacting with that. Because it sounds like well, the perception that I have in my mind, and perhaps I'm wrong, is that when you transist into the next phase of whatever it is, you're suddenly incorporated into the field of information, and you have that all-knowing sense of all things. Like, from this experience, sounds like there's like this whole other community out there that are individualized, and that they're on a mission to do whatever it is that they want to do. So it sounded fascinating, very, very fascinating.
You're making me remember, one thought that I had outside of body. One of the first thoughts that has puzzled me, and I hold it up against other theories because people certainly like to talk about, what this could mean. But I just remember thinking, oh, this isn't real. Like, now that I was in the spirit world, I was like, oh, this is the reality. Like, this is the costume, or this is the copy, or this is, the dimmer version of what life truly is. And so I've heard a little bit of different theories about what that means, but to me it doesn't matter what it is so much. Like, what I take from that is that all the pain, all the struggle, it's just our souls up against the limits of this body, the limits of this realm. You think of any time period, there's always going to be limitations. If you grew up in the dark ages, there was going to be some serious limitations, that we all have a set of societal limitations here, bodily limitations, and it's sorrowful. But our souls, the really great stories are the ones that persist against these limitations and try to bring as much love and as much light and as much goodness as possible, and really forgive themselves for the ways that they're broken and they can't show up. And I think, there is some talk of the shadow side and the shadow self, and, is God everything that is here? That wasn't really my experience. My experience is everything that limits us, everything that is painful, kind of faded away. Now, that doesn't, you'd go blind in all light. So there has to be a contrast, but there was this sense of what causes pain, what is abuse, what is death here. All of that isn't there.
You mentioned a few minutes ago about the language that we use, and language is thought, and thought can manifest into energy and karma and kind of what have you. So from your experiences, and from your healing experience in particular, do you think that that is like a key fundamental aspect of healing the self, by becoming benevolent and not judging others on the screen? Because when you judge other people, whether it's on the screen or walking down the street, you're essentially judging yourself, right? So if you know remove that perception out of the way, would that be like one of the fundamentals of self-healing, on the road to like recovery,
It's
mental and physical, spiritual?
it's definitely part of it. I think we have to extend empathy to ourselves first a lot of times,
Absolutely.
because we know our own journey so deeply, and so that's part of it, is extending empathy to self and then others. And the near death experience really shows us how we're all limited. We're all limited in what we're able to read, what we're able to understand, what we're, our perspective. We only see, for example, just our eyes. We're looking ahead and picking up this out of body. I saw in 360 degrees, and I could travel, very quickly, through time and space, across the universe in just milliseconds. And that's a different way of being.
Mm-hmm.
So healing to me has many, many facets. And I would not have come out, quote, as a healer without trying a lot on myself. And I haven't healed everything within myself, but I wanted to know, said, I need real, specific, concrete truth before I ever practice any healing modality with anyone. And so I cut my hand once. And so I was like, okay, I've got the day off. I'm going to spend this whole day sending energy, working with angels, really working on this cup. And so I went out for 2 hours. That's a long time. Sat on the grass, meditated, and looked at the cut, and went into this deep state of, okay, I'm calling on every light being I can contact, my own healing power, that healing power of Creator. How much healing and love can we send to this cut on my hand? And then it wasn't gone, but it was miraculously a lot different. Like there was a huge change in what happened. And so when some illnesses happen, like autoimmune disorders or cancer, or things that have been building up for a long time, it takes a lot of energy sometimes. Sometimes it's a dramatic shift, but sometimes it takes a lot of patience and a lot of giving room for that healing. And it might take many years to experience some healing. And it's not a loss to die. I mean, that's the other thing. It's not, you're not winning by living to be 90. Like you're winning endurance, an endurance test and good genetics and some luck. But no one is winning by necessarily living a long life. Like a life full of love that's a short life is just as beautiful.
Absolutely. Than someone who's lived 100 years and only experienced 2 years of love, right? Which one would you rather have, right? I think I'd go with the short one, with abundance of love, rather than 100 years and 98 years of that is like suffering, right? I don't know about that.
I was just at a very religious funeral, and the person speaking was like, "We don't know what death is. It's very dark over there." And I was like, "No, it's very light." I do know. I know.
Yeah, and couldn't interrupt. That's for sure. Well, I wanted to share that I got to interview Tricia last year on the IONS conference. That was it was only online. This year we get to be in person and online. And what was amazing is Tricia has made such an impact in helping people all over the world understand this bigger picture and the love that's available to them. And during the interview, people were actually asking her to create a spiritual group. And I've never seen, I mean, I've done this for 22 years. I have never seen that where the audience is going, come on, you can do it, please do it. And so you have to understand that the energy and the love that Tricia shares and her service work that she's done by highlighting other non-NDE survivors has really made a huge impact in the cosmos. Do you want to speak a little bit about that?
Oh, I feel like spiritual community is so important because when you create a community, whether it's a classroom, whether it's an online community, whether it's IANs, whether it's any type of spiritual community where people are heart-centered and they're wishing the best for one another, you do accelerate healing, emotional healing. We just hold space for each other to make breakthroughs in ways that we need. And so creating that group has been a lot of fun, and it's almost like meeting with friends each week. And we meet actually every 2 weeks, not each week. That's too much. I'm one of those people who does too much and then gets worn out. I think, there's this energy that we come back with from that other side of, oh my God, there's so much to do here. There's so much pain that we can like, we're not robots. We can't keep going forever. We all need rest. We all need downtime. But yeah, spiritual community, no matter what it is, whether it's a classroom, a church, that energy of people wishing well for one another amplifies things. So that's why judgment is harmful, because, maybe it limits that person who's judging the most, but it also energetically limits others because you're not leaving space for your good energy to give them the hope of change or healing.
Very good point,
when
Tricia.
we're able to do that for one another, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, well, that's a very good point. I like that.
Well, what I noticed is you were reluctant. you're like the where people would go, oh, cool, I'm going to do this. You're like, I'm not sure. And then I was so happy to see that you did. Because it is your expression. You've been doing so much out in the world. Thank you so much. When you look back at this past few years of what we've been through, how do you feel your experience, your near-death experience, could help people that are navigating all this change? Because they may not have had a spiritual awakening yet. I think everyone's going to be empathic when the photonic energy lights everyone up. But what could you say that they might understand or might uplift them to as they're going through and having to release all of the things that they might have had attachments to?
Yeah, the first thing is, don't be afraid to dream a dream of healing for the planet, for yourself, for others. That don't be afraid to make those first steps. Even, you mentioned my reluctant nature in some ways. I never regret it when I do service, when I actually put those first steps forward. And it may not, you're one person, so it may not be this global impact that you make, but it matters to the people you've connected with. So make efforts in the direction of your dreams, because people who, there's some luck involved, but people who persist over time generally have greater success. So one, don't give up. Don't give up on your desire for connection to the other side. Don't give up on your dreams for a better world. This is the time to step forward and manifest a better world. We have no choice but to keep evolving and keep trying. So also just think about what you're consuming. There's other ways to learn. And when your mind is in a meditative state and you open up over time to that energy, you can have a spiritual awakening. So if you haven't had one, meditation, a daily meditation practice, even 10 minutes, is vital. It is a deeper rest for the brain. Theta healing is a form of rest for the brain, because any type of relaxation where you're not constantly stimulated by your phone or the television or music. That type of rest is important for connection beyond just looking at the night stars. Being more in touch with nature can balance a lot of issues, psychological and physical. Maybe not perfectly, but you can bring greater balance. That I know, and I always say this to people, and people realize it once they do. I take my students out to meditate outside, and they write down their stress level, where it is before and after that. And even the most reluctant who sneak their phone downstairs, even though I've locked up the classroom and don't fully participate, just being outdoors brings their stress level down just a few points. So I would say, if you can disconnect, if you can commit to meditation, things will shift. And if you can also give your problems to a higher power, not always does that higher power like step in right at that moment, but emotionally, especially when you have something weighing on your heart, if you can go, I can't work this out, I need help here, you work this out with that unconditional love, you show me how it's going to filter into my life and change. I've seen things miraculously change within myself. I've even forgotten people's names who've wronged me, because I didn't play that much of a part in it, why should I carry it? Like that's just slowing me down from the good I want to do. So, there is this sense of claim your power. Don't let other people take it. And your power is your connection to that source. Your power is your connection to that light, of that forgiveness of self and others, that moving forward in the direction of your dreams, because why not?
Your infinite possibility, and you can do anything that you want.
This is perfect. Well, I love the idea. Oops, how did we do that? I think I clicked on it at the same time. Sorry about that. So Tricia, I know that we only have a few more minutes with you, and thank you so much for spending time with us. And I just have to say how much I appreciate everything you do and how you show up in the world. You're such a guiding light to so many people. And I just want to go girl. Anything I can do to help you. I mean, the thing is that we all are divine beings, and we've forgotten. And so what you're doing is you're helping everyone see, you're mirroring divinity to others. Right?
Oh yeah. Well, thanks for saying that. I try within my own limitations, and I think that's what age has taught me, what a lot of experiences have taught me, is that I'm still healing, but I do want to put out there what is possible. And what I love so much is when my students surpass me in all kind of knowledge, when they evolve past me as writers in the academic sense, when they evolve past me spiritually. Like I think that if I can be a catalyst for someone, that is a wonderful thing. That's what I try to do, is just push people forward. Sometimes I do that by triggering people, unfortunately, but that's the way it is.
I agree. I think that so much of this is what you resist persists. And what you're showing is push through that short time period of the pain or tears or whatever. If you can process through, then you're not holding that energetic block in your body. So this is about holistic health. This is about multidimensional access. And Tricia's a great guide to all of that. So thank you.
Yeah, guys, definitely visit Tricia's website, which I've been posting. It's also in the description of this video and also in the comments. And learn more about Tricia and what she's doing, and her YouTube channel. Go and check that out as well. The link is in the description of this video, and as well it is in the comments of this video. And also Tricia will be a speaker at the IONS conference in August 31st to September the 4th. And live streams are available for like 6 months afterwards, 180 days. So if you can't watch it all in, one binge watching, then, you can always come back and, please visit the conference ions.org website to book your seat so you can, learn more about this fascinating subject and topic. So thank you very much, Tricia. I really appreciate your wisdom and you coming out and playing with us in the sandbox today.
Yes, thank you. And I have 8% left on my battery, so I've made it.
Plus, you said you have another thing right after.
I've got to switch computers, yes. But thank you guys so much. It was a pleasure.
Best way to find you is your website, or is it?
There's a contact page on the website. So yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Or comment on the YouTube channel or here. Or come Diane's. It's a big part.
Yeah. Well, do yourself a favor and follow, definitely follow what Tricia's doing because she's just getting started.
Absolutely. And before we let you go, Tricia, do you have any final words of wisdom for our audience that you can give them a download with?
People have been through a lot. And for anyone, I think my heart always goes out to people who are in deep grief, who've lost a kid, a loved one, a partner, a parent. Be easy on yourself because grief is physical. That's something I learned as well. Even though I have this connection to the other side, when I've lost people close to me, the body goes through a depression and it's harder to connect when you are in grief. But hold out for that moment of connection because it's really that light from the other side, connecting with your loved ones in some way that gives you that assurance of, okay, we're still connected. Love doesn't die. It continues on, and I will see my loved ones again.
Beautiful. Thank you, Tricia. And that's a message that everyone should take home. Love is the only, it's the real vibration, and everything else is just an illusion, right? We're here with love. We come in with love. We leave with love. And that's the only thing that we're going to take with us is love. So love yourself, love one another. And, don't forget to say, I love you to yourself, because when you do that, you, do a lot of shadow work within yourself, as Dr. Emoto has shown with, experiments on water. Our planet is 70% water. We're 70% water. The air we breathe is water. So when we give that appreciation and gratitude, it really works on, a much, much larger plane than just the self-individual. So thank you very much, Tricia. I so appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on Saturday on our panel.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. So, Omar, can I show the site real quick?
You absolutely can. Yeah, bring it up, and I'll toss it onto the screen.
Or I can. Either.
Yeah, you can do that, or I can, because you're going to be on the screen. So as soon as it pops up,
I'll throw it up. Okay, I see. Okay, so hold on a sec. I hit it on Tricia's thing. Hold on a sec. Okay, so where am I? I'm back here. So this is what we are so excited to share with all of you is the IONS event that's coming up. It is an annual event, and this is a view of the website. It's conference.ions.org, and here are some of the keynote speakers, and they're quite remarkable. Each one of them is amazing. But when you go down here to this batch of pictures, this is where you see a lot of the wonderful beings of light that are going to be on our show this whole week are down here as other speakers. Here's Tricia right here, Carolyn Chang, Brooke Groves, Jose. Let's see where we've got
Peter Panagore.
Yeah, and who else am I missing? Oh, no, I think that's most of it. Yeah,
Jose, there's Jose. We have Dr. Pamela Gerali coming up.
Oh, yeah, she's not on this. I'm sorry.
That's who we're missing on this one.
Okay, super. So she's teaching a workshop. But the theme of this is timeless oneness, the luminous message of near death and other spiritually transformative experiences. So I'm very excited about it. Can't wait to be around these people because it's palpable. I mean,
Mhm.
energy and the light. I mean, when you meet Tricia Barker in person, you can feel that 8-foot aura.
Man, she's she's killing computers, so I could just imagine what it would be like being in her surrounding. And a huge congratulations to her. She got married yesterday as well, right?
Yes, yes.
So,
Last week or so, and it
yeah,
was yes, and it's on her Facebook
yeah.
page. If you guys are friends with her, so
Huge
thank you so
congrats to her.
much.
Yeah, that was an amazing talk. I really enjoyed conversing with her and yourself, and some really great questions, and got some really great feedback from Tricia. So a lot of fun, and looking forward to seeing her on Saturday for our panel.
Right.
With that being said, guys, let's take a look on who's coming up. This is all in order. So tomorrow is Monday. So on Monday, we have Dr. Pamela Gerali, and she'll be speaking about lessons from past lives. And then on Tuesday, we have Peter Panagore, and he'll be talking about mysticism, path to the beloved. And then on Wednesday, we will have Jose Hernandez, and he's going to be talking about healing as a conduit, or art as a conduit for healing. And then on Thursday, we have Brooke Grove, who's going to be talking about exploration of trauma-informed after effects. And then, least but not last, on Friday, we will be joined by Caroline Chang, and she will be talking about knowing oneness is the key. And then on Saturday, our finale, we will have all of our speakers on, and we will do a panel discussion with all of them, which I'm really looking forward to, because I just love panel discussions, and so many ideas are exchanged. The energy in itself is just beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to that. And guys, don't forget to also go to Kathy Mason's YouTube channel and subscribe to her channel, and visit her website as well, Mason Marketing. And if you are looking to get your book published, or are looking to get into the conscious business zone, definitely connect with Kathy, because she is an expert. So, give us a quick download on your website, Kathy, before we close out.
So I'm fortunate enough to have a gift of being able to connect people to their soul and illuminate their soul connection. And so when we work to get people's marketing out, we actually use alchemy to bring their soul connection and knowledge of their best soul timeline into form here. And so we do that sometimes with books, sometimes with online courses, sometimes through telesummits. It's all different ways. So, and every person is just more amazing than the next. So if you're interested, it's masonworksmarketing.com. And I didn't expect to be doing a commercial, so here we go. I'm not doing this, honestly, just for publicity. I love meeting these people and learning from them. I have to say, it is just amazing the difference that these brave souls that aren't staying stuck in the box, what they're doing. And I think that's what this whole week, Omar, you're going to see. These people are putting the pedal to the metal. I mean, Tricia alluded to it, but I mean, people that have had a drowning, and then they come back from a near-death experience and they become a marine biologist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's facing your fear.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
but story after story after story after story, and it's so inspiring. And you sort of go, well, what am I worried about? Look at what they've
Yeah.
done. I mean, you don't need to read a biography of Ben Franklin. Look at the people here of what they're doing, and they really trust that they're protected. And that's what we forgot. We forgot that everything, all is well, everything is for your highest good. We forgot. So
We've
it's a great reminder.
we've complicated things for ourselves, and as we grow older, we just continue to complicate things, and it's not really complicated, right? It's I always say we're here on a vacation from ourselves, and enjoy the physicality of this world, and enjoy everything that it has to give you. Love everything on it, and have a wonderful experience. Have a great vacation, and then maybe you'll decide to come back, and maybe you won't. But take this human experience. It's just really a vacation, and treat this life like you would a vacation, right? You don't get mad on a vacation. You're enjoying yourself and having fun and enjoying everyone's company. You're loving your family or whoever you're with, and we should really take that same mentality and apply it to our life, because it's really what it is, right? In our natural form, we have the memory of taste buds and wind going through our fingers, but to experience that in physicality is something totally different, and that's why we're here.
Right.
And there's no need to step on someone. There's no need to judge someone for what they're doing, because they're doing what they're here to do, just like you are. They're on vacation too.
Well, the thing I want to add one more thing to that and see if it rings true for you. And I don't believe, or I do believe, that everything, even if you're watching something you don't like, everything is here for us.
Mhm.
And so it's almost like the game is figuring out what that was here for you, rather than judging it and putting it in a box. And it's like, that's not mine, I don't want it. If you go to wonder what that was for, and then explore that, because it's a whole different way to look at it, because we are in this game, and the game brings you obstacles. And the next obstacle could be someone doing something that you think is so out of your values. It's just contrary to your values, but but why is it in front of you? If it's part of the game and you signed up for the game, then it's an opportunity to look at what repulses you and come to peace with it, because the Buddhists say suffering is optional.
It is.
And we create our suffering.
Yes, indeed we do. And what was I going to say? I forgot now.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. No. You said something, and then I thought about something, and then just it came in as it left as quickly as it came in.
That happens, doesn't it? More coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Or a juice now, because I'm done with the old coffee. So usually one for me is enough, and then after that, a juice all day long. And
that's good.
And yeah, that's the way it is. I forgot what I was going to say, but it's all good. But I was going to say is that check us out on deciphering.tv. That is the platform where I'm currently streaming this stream, and as well as to Kathy Mason's channel and Deciphering TV. But what I'm also doing with Deciphering TV is that Deciphering.tv is that I aspire to make that into a platform for myself where I can talk about things where I am not going to be censored. The things that I can't talk about on YouTube. Eric Hecker, our good buddy from Deciphering My Experience, has opened up his platform for us to really create dialogue and conversation on there, so that we can speak openly and not worry about getting our channel strikes and losing our channels, because we've spent a lot of time and effort into building these. So it would be a shame to lose it. So it's really solid of Eric to open up his platform to us to have these uncensored discussions, which we will be doing coming up very shortly. And so visit that and check us out there. I've got the link in the comments here, guys. And actually, I shared the live on deciphering.tv, but just go to deciphering.tv. Eric's got tons of great stuff on there. And I'm really looking forward to streaming there. And I'm really looking forward to cooling down as well. And this coming up week is going to be very exciting. I got a couple of double headers coming up, which we will talk about next time. So, guys, with that being said, thank you, Kathy. I appreciate you. And thank you, everyone that came out to play today. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to say that you love yourself. As I said before, it is fundamentally important to our holistic health, to our spiritual health. Be in love with everyone and enjoy your experience. Stay cool out there. Stay hydrated, and help other people. If you see someone old out there that's struggling, please give them a hand, and don't walk your pets in this summer heat. Wait till the morning, or wait till late evening, because imagine yourself walking on a pavement with bare feet. Not very cool. So let's keep an eye on that. Let's not lock our kids in the car in this heat, or our animals, right? We see a lot of that. We see a lot of that. If you do see it, please step up and do something about that, because that's not cool. So, guys, I love you very much. My name is Omar, coming at you guys from West Coast, British Columbia, Canada, with my co-host, co-creator, Kathy Mason, coming at us from Colorado. Love you guys, and we will see you next time. Any final words, Kathy, before we end the stream?
Oh, just so grateful to do this with you. Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you, Kathy.
It'll be really fun. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.